Hello, hi. Welcome to Wonder Slut. My name is Rebekah Crosby. I'm going to go find my glasses so I can see. Obviously, see. I need to see. I mean, I can see just fine, but I see better with these. Okay? I hope that y'all are having as great a day as I am. Good grief. It's like beautiful fall weather here in Texas. I'm waiting on my guest, Dr. Tina. I'm going to let her tell you all about herself. I'm very excited about this conversation. Um, please rate and review the podcast. It really helps. And if you like it, if not, don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Hello.
Oh,
Good. It's good to see your face. We're already recording,
yes,
if that's okay with you.
that's completely fine.
Okay. How do you feel about me going live on TikTok?
That's all right. I'm okay
Okay.
with that.
Okay. I'm going to do it. Okay. If you want to introduce yourself to us, is there echo? Can you hear that?
A little bit.
Okay.
That went, now it's
It's
worse.
worse. Okay. Now it's
That
gone.
seems better. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for I'm echoing now.
Oh, you are?
Yep.
Maybe I should just off. Is that better?
Yeah, I'm not echoing now, and
Okay.
you're not echoing.
Okay, good. I'll just take that out then. I think I hear just fine in the sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get this going and then we can start the live. I mean, they're gonna.
So you're wanting me to do the intro on my bio, or you're gonna do it and then have me add to it?
Oh no, I want you to just introduce yourself, however you want
Okay.
us to identify you. I'm so excited about this conversation. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning from the West Coast. It might be afternoon where you are or evening even. I'm Dr. Tina Schirmer-Sellers. I am a therapist, a sex therapist, a clinical supervisor, a researcher, a past professor, and a psychedelic assisted therapist. My research specializations are in medical family therapy, which looks at the impact of illness on people's lives and the impact of people's lives on their health and wellness. I trained physicians at the University of Washington for many years. And my other specialization is the impact of authoritarian households or religious sexual shame on people's lives. So, how authoritarian homes, whether religious or not, impact people's development in intimacy, in able to do attachment well, and ability to give and receive love well, which really has a lot to do with our happiness at the end of the day, is how safe and trusting are our relationships. How much do we feel seen, known, loved, and accepted? And authoritarian households or religious authoritarian households, conservative religious homes, are often incredibly detrimental to the development of one's sense of identity as a person of worth and value. And that has all kinds of implications that we can talk about later. But that's the basic overview of who I am.
So much. I mean, you're a very impressive person. I have chills all over my body. I'm so excited. Okay, so tell me how you got into this work. Like what brought you here? Was it just a cascade of events or
Yeah, I always think that question is so interesting because I am always been somebody who follows her heart, even when I was little. I was a figure skater because I thought that would be a wonderful thing to do and literally went at it full bore. Um, so I'm 65 now, and so how I got here was simply just listening to my heart. So I began teaching junior high and high school. I saw that a lot of my kids had stuff going on at home, many from privileged homes, had stuff going on from home that was impacting their ability to learn. It's like they had a white noise machine of worry going on in their head. And so I decided at that moment that families needed more support. And so then I went back to school and I got my first graduate degree marriage and family therapy. Um, then shortly thereafter, actually began teaching in the same program I had just graduated from. And in my teaching, they had asked me if I would teach the graduate level human sexuality class. Having grown up in a Swedish American home that was very sex positive, body positive, and open to giving you information all along the way. I
Yes.
never got a talk. I got tons of talks from grandmas, grandpas, aunts, and uncles, parents. It just was a part. It was like you talk about recipes. It was a part of our family conversation was all the kinds of things that would go around bodies and connection and taking care of yourself and caring for others and understanding boundaries. Like all of it was just a part of normal everyday conversation in my home. And so because of that, when I was asked to teach the sexuality class, it was because no other faculty member wanted to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that just sounds like my dream class. So I started teaching that in the early 90s. And right around the year 2000, I noticed a dramatic shift in the tone with which my students would describe their own lives around how they learned about affection or gender or sexuality. So and how did I know that? I had my students actually write their sexual autobiography. And most people are like, oh my God, I could never commit that to paper. And I was like, you're only ever as good a therapist as you know where you begin and end and
Yes.
your clients begin and end. Like you need to know your stories. And this is a story that if you grew up in a home that was silent or silent and shaming around bodies and sexuality, you don't know your story. You know events, but there's no arc of a story. And so I'm going to give you a bunch of questions. I don't want you to answer all the questions. I want you to see the arc of the questions. And then I want you to write a paper that tells your story and then also looks back on it and ask yourself, is this the legacy you want to carry forward? And if it's not, why not? And what do you want to carry forward instead? And so that was an assignment that they had. So I started reading these in 1992. And there was this dramatic shift that occurred in 2000 where the kids were describing kids, and they were graduate students, but they were describing themselves with like so much disgust
Mm,
and like anger, and like they thought they were perverted and they were humiliated by their thoughts and feelings and actions, which also meant that they had lost an amount of understanding as to what was developmentally common for any age
right.
that you are.
Right.
And so both those things were increasing. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm seeing. Took me about 3 years of a ton of conversations with students and clients to realize I was hitting the first wave of people that had grown up during the abstinence only increase in our education system.
Mm,
So that started in the 80s. The money got billions got pumped into it. And by the early 90s, so those that were hitting 15 around that point, by the time I heard from them in 2020 or 2000, yeah, right in the early 2000s, they had been getting religious education in their public schools because that's what abstinence only education was and is still.
mm-hmm.
It's religious education. It's 80% medically inaccurate. We know that from research.
Ugh.
And they had no sense of what normal development was and what normal curiosity was, and no grace for themselves and no appreciation for desire. Desire is the root of all of our innovation. When
Yeah.
I want to do something, I'm innovating, right? And if I want touch, there's all kinds of ways I have to go about that to honor myself and honor somebody else. That's a skill set, and we had failed to teach that. We have always pretty much failed to teach it. Although we had some kind of sex education in the US, across the US, beginning in the late 40s and running through the 70s. And then that got completely taken away. So I got into it at that point. I had been working in medicine and training doctors and doing all kinds of things, but this really captivated me. And I thought, I want to understand it more. And then I want to see if I can write anything that will help people see what happened to their life. Because this is not because something's wrong with them.
Right.
It's because our culture made some decisions
Right.
to privilege religious training, power and control training in order to push a capitalist agenda,
Ugh.
which we are all seeing the impact of now 50 years later. And this has all been coming. Many of us have been talking about what's coming. But we were hiding people behind this family values thing that never was about family values. It never was about protecting people or families or children. It was about silencing and causing people to be afraid and ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's caused real damage. So there's now, since I started working on this, there's been research that actually articulates the impact of sexual shame on people's lives, religious or not. And then, of course, it can be even more serious for people depending on how religious or how authoritarian their home was that they grew up in. So, yeah.
I'm like just probably going to sob this whole this whole conversation because I mean I grew up in a very Southern Baptist home where we were taught abstinence, abstinence,
Yeah.
abstinence, and it wasn't until I was in my 30s where I understood how detrimental that had been to me.
Yes,
And man, I
absolutely.
was so full of rage when I understood what I was doing, and now I see it happening to my children. I may be the only person in their life because I'm in a very small town in Texas where this is like
Okay.
still a thing. And
Right.
I tell them all the time, your body is a gift. It is beautiful. And
That's right.
however it is expressing itself is how it's
Hmm.
expressing itself. Let's just talk about it. No shame.
That's right.
No shame.
No,
You're so
no shame.
beautiful and worthy. And
And worthy. Yes.
um,
Yeah.
another thing I
That's
was
beautiful.
thinking as you were talking is, have you seen that show about Ed Gein on Netflix?
Ed Gain.
Ed Gein. He was that serial killer
Oh,
that
uh-uh.
the movie Psycho is based on.
Oh, is the last name Gin? Gin?
Gein.
Gein. No, I'll look it up. I don't often do my daughter does serial killer things, so I just go to her and I've been interviewed for TV shows on serial killers of people with religious backgrounds, and she always laughs because I don't know the first thing, and I'm like, I can tell you the impact religion might have had here, but
Yeah, he
I
was
don't know these
definitely.
cases, but I'll look that up.
And Alfred Hitchcock says in that series, Ed Gein was just a little boy with this sexual dysfunction or disorder or something, and because it was so shamed and he felt so disgusted by it, he grew into this monster. And I
Yeah.
thought,
Yes.
God, if we could just shine a light on
Yeah.
the darkest desires of our heart and just be like, this is interesting, right? Frame it in like
Right.
curiosity.
Curiosity. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I think desires are like feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say feelings are like noses, we have them.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is not to shame the feeling or the desire, but to understand how to channel it in a way that can honor us and honor anybody else that's going to be affected. That's it.
Yeah.
And now I say that as if it's easy. It's not easy. It's a self-discipline. But
Yeah.
when you start teaching it young, like like Sweet Pea, of course you want marshmallows for breakfast.
Yes.
What a 3-year-old thing to want. That is perfect. You're just filling your job description. And guess what? Mommy's job is to say, we're going to have these kinds of foods first, and
Right.
then maybe we can have a marshmallow. You know what I mean? It's like we're going to channel things in a way that honors you, takes care of you, provides wellness for you, but also we're going to consider the impact on anyone else too. We are going to be responsible for that too, including the land, whatever. And you start teaching that young, kids don't shame desire.
Right.
They're curious about it. And
Mm.
then they wonder, is there a way to do this that is okay for me and doesn't hurt anybody else or whatever the thing is? And, I mean, being a sex therapist and a sex therapy supervisor, you hear thousands of cases and people express their sexuality in all kinds of ways. What we care about is it consensual?
Mm-hmm.
Is it legal? Is it consensual? And are adults involved? And
Mm-hmm.
are adults fully consenting?
Mm-hmm.
If we did that, I mean, even as like we don't even examine heterosexual sex in the US, but how much heterosexual sex is going on that feels coercive?
Right.
So much,
Yep.
right? Because people don't feel safe and free to say, I don't feel like doing that.
Mm-hmm. That
I
is
don't
so
want to do that. So we've really done ourselves a huge disservice by not offering comprehensive, you call it sex education. In the Scandinavian countries, they call it life education, but it's emotional intelligence, relational intelligence, sexual intelligence, and then understanding why discipline needs to be a part of it. Like what discipline can serve me and how can serve others too, by me being thoughtful about my choices before I act.
right. Oh my gosh. I just feel like I'm in my 40s and I had
Mm,
someone say to me, enthusiastic consent. I don't
yeah.
have sex unless I am enthusiastically consenting. And that was the
Yes.
first time I'd ever heard that. And I was like, well, shit, I don't think I ever would have had sex. I
Yeah.
mean, it felt like
Yeah.
I was giving up, abandoning myself almost every single time I did it.
Right. Right. And what a disservice we've done to you and other people who don't know that choice is important, so important. I often say if there cannot be a no, then there cannot be a yes.
Right, right.
Because unless I'm fully safe to say no,
Yes.
I don't know I can see yes, say yes. I mean,
Mhm.
if I say yes, or you think, a nod is a yes, I'm not safe.
Mm.
So no is super important. So what do you like? What don't you like? I was recently talking to these two kids that were at that point pretty newly together, and they were thinking that they wanted to be sexual, and these were like everything's up and up, And so as they're talking about, how will you know you're ready, blah blah blah, he says to her, I want to know what you're into. And she says, oh, I want to know what you're into. So then she says, well, it's important for you to know that I'm a pleasure princess. I like it being all about me. And he said, oh, thank God. He said, because I'm a pleasure dom. For me, it's all about bringing pleasure to my partner. And
Nice.
I'm like, you guys are perfectly matched. But can you imagine having that conversation before you're sexual?
Right.
Like you already know what you like and don't like,
Yeah.
how you like to be treated, and you do not think twice about putting that out there. And if they don't like it, you're like, that's right, you're not my person.
Right. Information is power.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think so much of
Yeah.
this is just that, I mean, women haven't been taught, we haven't been given a template for
No,
self-discovery.
no,
We have no
we
idea.
have not.
None.
No. And the thing is those books are out there. There are even some podcasts out there. They're out there. But we need to go step back and give people permission to own their life and their choices and their experiences. You've
Yes.
got one life. No one has walked this planet who is just like you. You are nothing short of a miracle.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
And whatever you're given, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, whatever you're given, that's all you get.
Right.
And trust me, if you're living well, it's going to go by in a flash.
Right.
So when you're on your deathbed, how do you want to have lived? Do you
Right.
want to have handed over your body to somebody who doesn't know what you like? You don't even know what you like. You don't know how to build a respectful touch relationship with each other. Or do you want to have done the hard work to heal what you didn't get when you were young, heal your shame, and start practicing saying, hey, I want to talk about how to do connection and pleasure with you without an assumption of what we're going to do.
Mm.
So I want to practice for the next 2 weeks, like telling you what sounds really fun. I'll give you 3 ideas that sound really fun to me that feel like they would be, for me, potentially connecting and pleasurable to share those with you. And if there's one of those that you'd be willing to do, I want to practice doing that. And then I want to hear from you. But it can't be the same thing all the time because that does not work for me. I want the freedom to say, I'm into this. This sounds fun. Sitting in the bathtub and drinking some champagne actually sounds like what I have the energy for, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just do a lot of different things and really focus on building connection and pleasure, sharing pleasure with each other, and having that be what our goal is for good sex. Not anybody abdicating, anybody feeling like I can't see her, she's not behind her eyes, it doesn't feel like she wants to be there, or it doesn't feel like he wants to be there, or they want to be there, whatever. I get to now fully show up, and you get to fully show up, and then we get to experience that,
Yes.
and that's a qualitatively different experience.
Yes. That's amazing. Is that are couples able to do that?
Yeah, yeah, it takes work. I
Okay.
mean, it is work, and
I guess if you're
um, yeah, I'll mention that there's a program that goes through some of these more really foundational but micro shifts that have to happen in most relationships that haven't done this work in their life, and they just kind of like, God, my relationship just isn't working the way I thought it would. I thought if I kind of did all these things, it would be great. It's not. So there's a relatively new program that just went live a little while ago called Abundant Marriage. It's called abundantmarriage.com. And it'll walk you through like 8 different, we always recommend people do them, like grab a couple of friends that you would, it's really good to do things in community rather than doing them all by yourself.
Mhm.
You're not alone. And that's what a lot of people feel is they feel like we're the only ones that are suffering like that. Trust me, I ran retreats for couples for years. You're not alone. This is the majority of, especially heterosexual couples, are really struggling who have not done this work, right? They've got so much shame getting in the way. They just don't know at all. But anyway, there's that. And I'll often say, like the Shameless Parenting book I wrote, Shameless Parenting, Everything You Need to Raise Shame-Free Confident Kids and Heal Your Shame Too.
Mhm.
That book came after writing the first one, which was Sex, God, and the Conservative Church, Erasing Shame from Sexual Intimacy, because people came to me and they said, okay, this was really helpful. Now I can see what happened to me growing up and why it had such influence on me and how to heal. But what I don't know is how to do it different with my own kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews or whatever. And so literally it's a book that's birth to 2. Here's what kids normally are interested in emotionally, behaviorally, birth to 2, and then body wise,
Mhm.
birth to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, all the way up to 18. At the end of every chapter is the leading books and websites for parents and kids. It literally walks you through, it helps you heal. So what ended up happening is a bunch of people bought this who are parents, but then people started to buy it who weren't parents because they said, I want to heal myself.
Right, I was gonna
So
say
I'm going to walk myself through.
oh,
Yeah, and so they go to the library and they get the books for the 2-year-olds or the 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds. They just literally do every section and they like read it, imagining they're reading it to the part of them that just never got what they needed. And
mm,
so it's stuff about body autonomy, it's stuff about respecting others and respecting yourself and all kind being who you are. Like maybe you're somebody that doesn't like hugs, that's fine. There's one like Doug, don't hug Doug. It's about Doug who doesn't like hugs.
mhm.
Um, so anyway, that's just it's a there are parts of us that need to be healed, and this does it developmentally. So
Okay.
it takes you all the way through adolescence. But it's work to do, but I often say I don't know of more important work because it will qualitatively shift your relationships to be more truthful, authentic, loving, and pliable so that they can keep moving and shifting and growing. Yeah.
Mhm. I will say that I feel like that piece of sexual shame was one of the most significant things that I healed in myself. I felt like a totally different person when I respected myself and loved my body and
Yes.
loved
Yes.
my desires. And I dabbled in being an intimacy doula for a little bit, so I
Yeah.
talked a
Yeah.
lot with men who were so full of shame
Hmm.
about their desires
Hmm.
and
That's right.
it was just beautiful to shed a light on it and be like, this is not like, this
Mm-mm.
doesn't make you a bad person. This just makes you
No.
interesting.
And human.
Right.
Really, you are a part of the human family, and we are pretty diverse,
Yes.
but we have to know and own ourselves first. And then sometimes we need support in how do I express that in a way that is honoring of others too,
Mhm.
and they need a little coaching often in that, but seeing this as good, whatever it is,
Yes. Yes.
is so
That is
important
just
and
the
so
baseline.
freeing.
You are
It is the
worthy,
baseline.
unconditionally
Yes,
loved.
unconditionally. You
Yes.
came here. I often say, and this is in the first chapter of that abundant marriage book, you are beloved, not
Mm,
by what you've done or not done.
mm,
You came into this world beloved.
mhm,
Your life will be qualitatively different if you can work to know that.
mhm,
Like you're going to love different, you're going to receive criticism differently because you're fine.
mhm,
So if somebody doesn't like something, they get to have that opinion.
mhm.
I don't have to own it. I can be curious about it though, in case there is something there for me to learn from, but it doesn't have to crush me. I'm not a weeble that wobbles and falls down. I don't
Right.
fall down.
Right. That Brene Brown, one of the most significant things she ever said was, "I'm not negotiating my worth with you. I know who."
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
right.
And I do think that, as you were talking about body autonomy, and so much of patriarchy has stripped us of respecting each other as sovereign human beings who have
That's right.
agency over their own lives and are smart enough to decide what is right for them and what isn't.
Absolutely.
Why
And
why
smart even doesn't even have to play into it.
right,
They have the right.
right. Yes.
They have the right. I get to decide what, do they come into my inner circle or do they stay? I mean, like, I get to decide my relationship with, but they are autonomous.
Yes. Yes. Just leave us alone, please. We're
Yeah,
like intuitive human beings.
absolutely.
Nobody's in our shoes but us.
That's right.
It is so
That's
wild
right.
to me. And you're
It
right.
is wild. Yeah.
It's a tool of just manipulation and control.
If we take a look at history from the beginning of colonizing, just US history. Now you could do this in other countries easily too. There's plenty of other countries. But there was a group that came in and said, we know better than you what your life should look like.
Mhm.
And so, therefore, if you don't think like us and do like us, we'll literally kill you.
Yes.
Take your children, put them somewhere else, forbid them to use their language or to talk about their grandparents or parents or anything. We will, we will erase you. And we have done aspects of that
Hmm.
for those who have power and control, have done aspects of that ever since.
Hmm.
And it's really, again, when you see yourself as beloved, you can look at that and say, wow, I've been marinated in this my lifetime. I'm a white female in America. I'm second generation Swedish American, but Sweden's got their stories. I mean, everybody's got their stories. So can I look at where I might be acting in colonizing ways? Because I don't want to.
Hmm.
Where I can have more curiosity for other ways of thinking, maybe even ancient ways of thinking that have gotten erased. Because
Hmm.
maybe there's actual wisdoms there that if I was listening to those wisdoms, I wouldn't be extracting, taking, hoarding, and lording over,
Right.
right? I'd be sharing,
Right.
wealth with so I live in the Pacific Northwest. So the indigenous cultures that I'm most familiar with, wealth was determined by if you have things to share,
Oh,
which is just so much fun. It's like reciprocity. I have too many tomatoes. Anybody need some? You walk in the woods and you're thanking the trees for like the shelter, the whatever. It's just like you live in relationship with. It is so much more fun
I
than
know.
that of taking. I
Yes.
mean, it's so much more satisfying to your heart.
Yes. I study Kabbalah, and I that is a huge part of Kabbalah is the giving. What energy are you bringing to this situation? Are you giving or
Yes,
taking? taking energy
Yes.
is depleting and
Yes.
scarcity. And you're not a vessel abundant enough to receive if you're in that mindset. I love that
Absolutely.
so much.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yep. And you see this in so many of the different ancient thought areas. You see some of the same things. And this was a time when people didn't cross-culturally speak to each other. But
Mm,
this was indigenous wisdom.
hmm
And the Kabbalah, I mean, I have a chapter in the Sex, God, and Conservative Church book on a sex positive God because there's so much in Jewish scripture
hmm
and Jewish mystic writing about the positive ways to be in relationship with desire in your body and blah, blah. And so I just said, here's like 5 stories that show you that you should have gotten a different message about sexuality in your bodies that is older than the message that you got when Christianity became an empire religion in the 4th century with Constantine. But that stuff never was brought forward. And people need to know, who created your body? It was on purpose,
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I love it when people try to tell me that Jesus never had sex or masturbated. I
right.
mean, that's really funny.
Well, and why would that even bother
I
you?
know,
Like,
right?
so
Why does it
what?
need to be a thing for him to be your
No,
savior?
yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that whole.
But you would have to think that sex is dirty
Right. Yes.
in order for it to bother you.
Yes.
I think that and the Jewish thought is that it is bonding, right? It
Mm-hmm.
is an exchange of love. It is, and if you did intimacy work, that through Tantra that you can heal the mind, the body, you can heal all kinds of things through very sacred touch that's very consensual.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll often work with people where one person experienced childhood sexual abuse or a religious upbringing or whatever, and the other one did not, where the person who did not acts as a healer to the person that experienced it, and the person who experienced it has 100% choice to say, I want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to say stop at different points. And this person's like, I'm just here for you. I am
Mm-hmm.
here so that you can know that touch and your body can be honored and you can be safe. And they slowly move through, a kind of reparative project together. And it works better than any other trauma informed work that there is out there. And we still don't teach that when you learn therapy. You don't learn about sexuality. When you're a doctor, you don't learn about sexuality. When you're an educator, you don't learn about sexuality. So you're just going in with whatever you had from media and your family, But it's actually sacred sexuality, touching with real intention and real slow, careful, can be one of the most powerful things because it is body, mind, soul, and spirit at the same time. So it's
Mm-hmm.
incredibly powerful on our neurobiology, on our brain.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm in this chaplaincy program, and um, they're addressing sexuality as a form of spirituality and how to incorporate that into how they heal people. And oh, I love it.
Wonderful.
I'm so excited to dig into that work because I'm like, we are all sexual human beings. Like, why aren't we all just eating
Right.
out all the time? I don't understand it. Like,
Yeah.
so fun.
Well, and the thing is that people like all kinds of things. So there are some people that really aren't into that much touch, but there often is a place where they want connection and shared pleasure. It may
Right.
not be through a touch avenue. They might be asexual or aromantic or whatever, but you can have a conversation about what makes you feel seen, known, loved, and accepted by a close other.
Mm,
What does sharing connection and pleasure look like for you that sounds good for you? It might be kissing all day long. I don't know.
right.
Trust me, I've heard so many things. So, but I do want to know what works for them, and then how can we support them in having other people in their life where they can mutually affirm what
Right.
works for them.
Right. So you said something. You said the abstinence program is 80% inaccurate scientifically, or
Medically inaccurate. Medically inaccurate.
can you dig into that a little bit?
Sure. So it's important for people to understand that beginning in 1980, beginning with Reagan, we removed money for sex research, federally funded sex research. And we were doing incredible research in the 70s on how do we support disabled people who want to find a way to be in loving, touching relationships, right? We were studying all kinds of incredibly important things, women's health. We were studying, really removed all the research money and then removed what sex education we had. And then we put in abstinence education, which was don't, it'll kill you if you do, right? And then a lot of scary movies.
Mm,
And people were told that condoms are ineffective, that
mm,
you'll still get pregnant. And then they started teaching that abortion was bad. Now, we need to understand that when Roe v. Wade passed in 74, the Southern Baptist Church was 100% behind it.
mm,
And why was across the board were people? Because they had watched people die by the hanger.
mm,
And they were apolitical. They were non-political. The primary religions in the U.S. were non-political at that point. And they really cared about families, women, children,
mm,
fathers,
mm.
people. They cared about it. Now, it was still very heteronormative and all the things, right? All the things it's been for a long time. But it at least had that. That was all taken away with Reagan's presidency. And we started putting in this education, quote unquote, that was no education, no training about relationships or yourself or your body, only that any sex that you have could kill you, right? So all the things they got around that, whether they were from a religious family or not, it didn't matter. Whether they were in Texas or if they were in any other state that was doing abstinence education, they were all getting that. To this day, so since that time, so we're 45 years into this, since that time, we only have 18 states in the United States that have passed legislation that whatever sex education they offer must be medically accurate. 18 states. And that has only increased by 2 states in the last 10 years. So ignorance is what we sell because ignorant people can be controlled, right? We can get them fearful and we can control them. And we have been about that now for 45 years.
Ugh.
That has been the primary motivation. We put all kinds of things out front. We're doing this and that. So people are like, well, how did abortion become the thing that we were sure was biblical? There was actually a meeting in 1980. This is documented. I've seen footage of the meeting where the people in charge of this movement, the movement of kind of power and control in the government and stuff, there was a meeting where they were like, we can no longer get away with segregating our religious colleges any longer. We're going to lose all our funding. It is illegal. We have to come up with another issue to rally the religious voters. And in this meeting, they decided abortion was going to be the issue. This was in 1980. And it was at that point that they began to do all of the things. So if you know any of Frank Schaeffer's work, he wrote a book called Sex, Mom, and God, where he worked, his father, Francis Schaeffer, was a part of this movement. And I knew about Francis Schaeffer when I was in my teens and 20s. But he was a part of this movement. That whole docu-series on the end of the human race, which was all about abortion and how it's going to kill us and yada, yada. He was a part of that. Frank was a part of that, the son. When he hit 60 and he had grandkids, he started to realize what he had been involved in, and he started writing about it so people could know what happened in the U.S. It's
Mm,
an incredible book. It helped me understand how we got to the point where I was seeing what I was seeing in the early 2000s. Like,
mhm,
oh, this is what had been going on behind the scenes,
mhm.
right, for all of those years. So there are only a few states that have actually passed comprehensive sex education, which is things like kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, or third. We're going to teach about body autonomy. Your body belongs to you. Other people's bodies belong to them. How we ask before we touch, how we get to say no, that we understand what kindness is, how to give it, how to receive it. We understand what painful touch is or how to hurt people and why we don't want to do that. We talk about What does respect mean? Um, what does appreciating diversity mean? How is there a lot of that in our world? Like, we're really teaching the foundational things, like why we want to speak the truth, but how to do it in a way that is respectful, right? There's just, I mean, so many things that are found. How to do conflict,
Mm.
right? I'm angry. I want to hit. Of
Mm-hmm.
course you do,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't, because that's violence, and we don't solve our problems with violence. So we have to learn how to calm ourselves, take a deep breath, and use our words. And
Mm-hmm.
if we need help, we can go find a trusted adult to help us. Right. And so we're teaching these kinds of things because these are foundational to intimate relationships later in life, to good relationships in
Yeah.
your work, at your home, whatever. That's what we're doing kindergarten to through third grade. Fourth grade, we begin reproduction training, helping them understand how bodies change during puberty and what's happening and what the purpose, just all of that. And then as they get older in their junior high and high school, then we're talking about the nuances of affection, the nuances of attraction, the nuances of gender. What do I feel like on the inside? I remember teaching about this, and I was saying to everybody, I want you to draw your own concentric circles, but I'm going to show you mine. I grew up the tight end receiver of our fourth grade team. I identify as a woman, but I was raised by an incredibly strong man who really let me do the things I was interested in, right? And I figure skated and and so I said, I have a whole parts of me that are very masculine as we think about it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have parts of me that are my mom was a runway model. I was her doll, right? So I've got all these parts too. And I'm somewhere in the middle of this, and I'm my own unique blend of masculine and feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? How are you? And how do you like to be identified? If you really felt like somebody really got you, what would they be getting? What would they be understanding about you, right? So we get into more of these nuanced ways of how to appreciate the truly diverse world we live in and what it means to live in that world in a way where I know how to respect someone else, and I know how to ask for respect. I know how to move myself out of it. I understand where I have power. I am accountable to that power and not to be abusive of that power,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I'm this age and somebody is younger, if I'm a professor and they're a student, I have power whether I feel like I do or not. And so I am accountable to them for how I use my power. Imagine we taught that in the US, given the amount of abuse of power we see and the excusing power abuses that we see.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry if you said that in a chat or you said that somewhere and it became public. You have to be accountable for the impact publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to look on the inside and say, what's actually going on with your heart that you think that's okay?
Right.
Because you're not a person to be trusted as far as I'm concerned. If that's actually how you think, who you are behind closed doors is who you are.
Right.
Right? We haven't talked about integrity and character for generations now. And it was talked about when I was growing up.
Right.
So that's how I see it all kind of mixing together. It very much is a part of a capitalist agenda because it's about, exploiting people so they spend money on the things I want them to spend money on.
Right. That's all about the almighty dollar.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bankrupt. We're so bankrupt in our
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah, we are. And it's an unsustainable model. Any model like we have to make money for our shareholders this quarter,
Right.
that's not sustainable. It's economically not sustainable.
Right.
At some point, it's going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't had enough people in power who could challenge that at this point. There's just, in 1984, I believe, under Reagan's administration, we passed laws that allowed the FCC to remove regulations in media. That means we no longer needed to tell the truth. We just needed to make money for our stockholders. We no longer needed to tell the truth. Well, what also happened in the 80s? Video games, music videos, then the internet, and then social media. no accountability across the board
Mm-hmm.
for impact of what we're doing as long as we're making money for our stockholders.
Mm-hmm.
That has gotten us here
Mm-hmm.
where we are today.
Yep.
If we had been a culture that understood that I impact you and you impact
Yes.
me, and I'm going to be mindful, I impact the earth, I'm going to be mindful so that we live in reciprocity and respect, mutual respect, we would not be here today.
Right. I
You
think
know, where we have CEOs that are making what, 70 times the median worker in their company?
it's insane.
700 times?
It's
I mean, I think
insane.
I just saw one last week. It was like 600 and something.
It's insane.
Yeah,
And also, they're getting that's it. That's what they're
that's
getting.
right.
Money. That's it.
That's what they're getting.
No
Right.
like
And you don't get to take it with you.
no benefit to that, right? That's it. So
That's it.
how you
And
want to live your life. I mean, who am I to judge, but it is
well, I'll
very
judge.
dangerous.
Yeah, I don't like seeing people being hurt.
Yeah,
And so I have all kinds of opinions about things like that, but because it's not neutral.
right.
Abuse of power is not neutral.
I agree. But it's
And
so
and
harmful.
I do have voice, so I will use it for those people that don't have voice.
Yeah. Have you done any research on like nervous system regulation and what that looks like as you try to adapt? Because I, as far as I understand it, your nervous system is programmed to what is safe and what isn't. And even if it's bad for you, you're programmed to that, this is what keeps me safe is living in shame or like I was always attracted to men that were unavailable that felt safe
Hmm.
to my nervous system. And
Right.
so you have to like retrain everything about your body to
You
be
do.
open minded, essentially.
Right. It's a complete, so the way that the brain works is it has grooves that it's traveled like a tractor. It's places that it's gone a lot. So our childhood starts those grooves, right? And so if unavailable people is what we're surrounded by, as far as our inner circle of people goes, that's groove is going to get
Mm,
worn in our brain. And so as we start choosing, we're choosing the familiar.
mm-hmm,
We're going to go on that track because I know that track,
mm-hmm,
right? Or I know I had a very narcissistic kind of mom. And so for a long time, it played out in relationships. And it took a while for me to go, oh, I'm attracted to that because that's what I know, not because that's what I want.
mm,
So what do I want? And can I tolerate the fact that it's not going to feel familiar for a long time until I wear a new groove in my brain,
mm,
right? And so this is where I think therapy can be really helpful. Having a supportive group of friends that you're working on things together can be helpful because it is our brains, thank goodness, are plastic or they're neuroplastic, the plasticity in them. It will shape, it will change, it will grow, but it needs repetition to do that.
mm-hmm,
And so if you're moving yourself out of one big groove into a bunch of new ones, it's hard work. It feels unfamiliar. It feels awkward at first. Can feel wrong even.
mm-hmm,
But what you're doing is you're connecting what your heart and your body know is true
mm,
with what how your brain needs to change. So if you slow down long enough, like, does this work for me? Do I have a huge hell yes inside of me
mm,
about this person or this thing? If I don't, it's just a no, and I'm going to wait longer,
mm,
right? And I'm going to keep working on what do I love? What do I admire? How do I want that in my life? And I'm going to do the work until finally, and there will come a day that the new feels familiar. And you're
mm,
like, oh, I used to get triggered by that. I don't feel triggered at all.
mm.
Yay!
Yes, I
Yeah.
love
And
it.
that's because our brain has
Yeah,
neuroplasticity
they're amazing.
and our nervous system is part of that.
Uh-huh. I love it
Mhm.
so much. Okay, tell us where to find you. This was such a great conversation. Oh my gosh, I loved everything about it. I'm definitely buying your books for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, if any of your listeners can't afford them and really are committed to doing the work, honoring themselves, loving themselves, and healing themselves, all they have to do is DM me at Instagram at Dr. Tina Shameless, and I can send a promo code, a free code to have the book in audio. And that's just if you can't afford it. If you can afford it, feel free to buy it. I appreciate that. It's helpful to me.
Sure.
But if you can't, do not let that stop you.
Okay.
Please let me know, and I will find a way for you to have that information so that you can do that. So Instagram, Dr. Tina Shameless.
Okay.
I have a website that's just my name, tinashermersellers.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's probably the easiest ways to get a hold of me through there.
Okay.
If you're interested in the psychedelic work that I do, I have a website called inannarising.org. So INANNARISING.org. And it's for clinicians and coaches who have gone on to learn about psychedelic assisted therapy and are trying to figure out how to really make a difference around the trauma healing that needs to happen in the US, because we create trauma in people's lives normally, like it's so prevalent. But then what happens when people have grown up is that trauma gets in the way of them living their best life. And I want people to be liberated to live their best life. So anyway, we have that organization there. And then we have a retreat center for clinicians to support them and help them rest, because doing this work is a marathon and it's exhausting. And so I'm involved in that too, and you can look that up there. But yeah, those are probably the best places to go.
I love it. You're so
I have lots of resources on my website, tons of resources for people.
Okay.
And on the Instagram too.
I love it so much. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Do you have any
Of
last
course.
words you want to say before we close?
No, I think I would just reiterate what we were both talking about at the beginning, that whether you feel it or not, you are beloved.
Mm.
And if you can work to believe that, and it is work,
Mm-hmm.
your life will be richer. And I believe that you'll find out on the other side that that was absolutely 100% always true. So if you got treated in some other way and your nervous system got set to, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved, I'm not valuable, whatever, that was not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And do yourself the favor of doing the work to come to understand your belovedness, so that you can live a life that supports you and supports those you love and supports your community.
I love it. You want to see change, you got to be the change.
That's right.
Love it so much. Okay, don't go anywhere.